All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I am Richard Miller, the one. And we're here at a special day because I got my second vaccination. And if you can get yours, go and get it. Because as I've been saying, if it is good enough for Jella Biafra, it is good enough for you. Let us now hear the ever wonderful, ever beautiful, ever lovely, ever glorious, ever inspirational. Yeah. Ever pleasant, ever green. Stream theme, shall we? Lovely. All right. This is a pear. This is a pear. This is a pear. I did not write this. This is written by another Richard. Richard Myers, aka Richard Hell. It's called The Plan. I withdrew from the street in all human-like zones. I'd had it. I was mushed to the bones. I'd covered the windows. I was taking no calls. And I thought for a month inside the alien walls. I was at a loss. What could I do now? I called up a girl I'd known for so many years. I'd seen her in shock. I'd seen the last of her tears. I admired her style from her toes to her brain. She accepted my plan, so she caught the next train. We would secretly smile inside our surgical masks, but we were serious too. We accomplished our task. Her schedule was followed, a daughter was born, and so the mother departed. I was left with her form. This is where it counts. Her education's begun. I'm intent on success. Her breathtaking beauty, it brings out my best. I once knew true love. She won't know another. Life is renewed. My little girl is my lover. And now I know. They don't tell you so. But I can recall it all. This is called Transformacion. The gull-winged gold-leaf ivory elevator doors open to reveal a portrait of an orchard, saying, "This wicker basket contains every memory you've ever had, so if you've got a purple number, come over, pull out a slip, and let's start to reminisce." Me and my sister playing parlor tricks in the back seat while Dad turns up the radio to drown us out. Then he leans down, increasing speed on the way to the dog show. Come over, and pull out another favorite. Semi-finalist in the quarterfinals of our school district's annual spelling bee, and I got here on an easy word. Charisma. Afterward, we went out for ice cream cake. Even though Mom wanted bagels, we let her hold the trophy as something of a consolation prize. Transformacion! The baby blue lagoon gull wing elevator doors open to a balloon crooning in a soprano profundo. Today you're in a classroom, sitting in between a magic wand and a sprinkler, behind a rhinoceros and in front of a stethoscope, ready to make toothpaste out of erasers, lipstick, and hairspray. Today you're in the classroom and your substitute teacher is Adeline, a 102-year-old oak tree, and you're making birthday presents for her best friend. You're ready to make nylons out of eyeliner and passport pages filled with stamps of horse-shaped signatures. Transformacion! The pleated red vinyl elevator door opens to reveal a singing taxi. Today it's your birthday and you get breakfast in bed, served on a star-shaped black and white television set, blinking lights on the pillow heads, milk on a blue and white dress. Today it's your birthday and you get a pink and blue book with blank pages to fill in, with drawings of budgies and juice boxes. Rainbows over razors, crisp bubblegum in between mint baseball cards. The gull wing gold leaf ivory elevator doors open to reveal a portrait of an orchard transplanted to a beach. Today you're taking a surfboard out of a small bus while watching the girl pick up the wallet that fell from her purse. While your head is plate glass, your arms are oars, and your hands are rafts. Today, you're making videos on the boardwalk of people roller skating while holding umbrellas or eating ice cream off towels, while your mouth is a string swimming in circles, while daylight is young, and they intend to dream of a visiting play-in full of pleasant fling, tones rhyming ever so tinily and wrangle in something misheard and turned into a quiet joke among monks, and either brithering and fiel. This is from a book I put out in 2019. It is called Invisible Synthesizer. The plane lands by the grace of the titanium hand. A fog of whispers dissolves over a stack of prayer stones. A stiffened spine, completely covered in sea foam. Closet full of striped clothes, coated in cast iron. The titanium hand has no stains or scars. The titanium hand instantly uprooting thunder from clouds. The harvest, the bounty of the harvest, reaping the bounty into plastic bags, endless handfuls of beautiful blueberries pressing against plastic bags. The plane ascends by the grace of the titanium hand. The grid is powered by the grace of the titanium hand. Vertical waves powering on an offline equator. Vertical waves swirling inside color-coded numbers. The harvest, the bounty of the harvest, reaping the bounty into plastic bags. Endless handfuls of beautiful blueberries pressing against plastic bags. Twitching fingers and tapping feet remain untamed. The harvest, the bounty of the harvest, reaping the bounty into plastic bags. Endless handfuls of beautiful blueberries pressing against plastic bags. Vertical waves powering on an offline equator. Vertical waves coiled around the axis. Running is a blessing, as refreshment is restoration. Restoration is the key moment of demonstration. The harvest, the bounty of the harvest, reaping the bounty into plastic bags. Endless handfuls of beautiful blueberries pressing against plastic bags. The titanium hand types, gimme, gimme, gimme the rest of all these years. Gimme, gimme, gimme the rest of all these years. Gimme, gimme, gimme the rest of all these years. Gimme, gimme, gimme the rest of all these years. This is a pair. This is a pair. This is from a book now going on 5 years old, which is hard to believe. But here we are. Pardon me. It's called The Rabbit and Cowardly Wolf. Or, I suppose, if you want to really split hairs, The Rabbit and the Cowardly Wolf. Any fucking second now. Who cares? An angry, ingrown sore, spreading red and silently whining. The body? What body? The published excerpts. Her body, a brace of muscle spasms in her right bicep. She'd observe her pet rabbit in its cage and skip past the turn of the century print in her father's office depicting a fox hunt, and yet Just one block away, another rabbit sat in the passenger seat, horribly embarrassed as the cowardly wolf got a breathalyzer and then failed to walk in a straight line. But back to the unnamed girl, I think it might have been Amanda or Amy. When one's head is round as a bowling ball and smokes their shame and presses bare chested on saplings in the spring at dawn for an unobserved tiny tingle before the roll is called. Clearly, mockery is uncalled for and exoneration is at a premium. But we shall not allow for a violation of definitions, especially for one as important to this narrative as Amanda or Amy. No, 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 no! When the rabbit stepped down as the star of his own sitcom to attend to those personal issues, there had been so many whispers about the cowardly wolf suddenly was left without something to watch, emulate, idolize, sneak in a quick jerk during the commercials to, argue with, get enlightened by, surprised by, study, evaluate, grade, rate, review, proselytize on behalf of, display obscure knowledge of, and obviously whinge that it wasn't as good as the early years and that he would know since he was there before whoever he wasn't impressing. But since no other show gave the cowardly wolf the flood of serotonin he craved so restlessly, he grudgingly and pragmatically chose to watch reruns in perpetuity, and why not dress it up a little? For they could be revivals, or even better, celebrations, a new institution of our shared experience and ongoing mounting heritage. Clutter. Television was revoked. The rabbit and cowardly wolf decided to intercept their favorite actor's private plane. As he touched down at the dullest airport you can imagine, the duo were hilarious to themselves, saying things like, "Is he wearing rayon? It's not like he couldn't afford ultra suede." After the actor greeted them with a few quick canned quips, he deftly inked two memories. Upon his departure, the cowardly wolf chided the rabbit about mistaking the actor's autograph for a pictograph. As they later sat in the 50s diner, their root beers run flat, the jukebox unplugged by the owner. Who was that fighter who won a round without throwing a single punch? It wasn't Willie Pep. Which one are you? Welcoming back Amanda or Amy. He spent his first life as Alexander the Great's chariot. He'd get upset when his action figures didn't eat the cucumber sandwiches he'd made. He'd put down his crayons and say things like, "You're Arnold and I'm Willis." "No, you're Mr. Drummond and I'm Dudley." "Well, I'm Bruce Wayne and you're Commissioner Gordon." "No, you're Dick Grayson and I'm Edward Nigma." "No, you're wrong. I'm Ryan Sandberg and you're Leon Durham." "No, you're Keith Moreland and I'm Rick Sutcliffe." Amanda or Amy. I handed him my ovation, but it wouldn't play. Total silence. He gave it back and I sounded like Segovia. He tried one more time and it was like someone who pressed a mute button. "I see that you've just wandered in. Would you like to give an account of yourself?" The unclean offerings are an example of a permissive society, the long, thin membrane that seems to lead skyward. You are so well spoken, and none of us would have noticed. Reverse gentrification. The committee smiles, the lead lawyer holding out a pen. The rabbit renews his contract and his first project, a mystery called "If Only You Were Innocent." Photographs, press conference, no disclosed details of the arrangement. He thanked his agent Marty Weber with a note and a fruit basket, probably from the Gersh agency. The rabbit's people punched up the script with gems like, "Son, you're a born fact checker, right down to the letter. I'll sell my secrets because I don't care." And, of course, only dogs try to understand things. Meanwhile, the cowardly wolf had disappeared for 4 days to investigate a garden. He wanted to make a biopic about himself, but he couldn't secure the rights. The rabbit and cowardly wolf slumped drunkenly against the back wall of their town, with only the moonlight reflecting off their wine bottle. Yet, not neither the harridan, butcher's wife, nor the laborer pounding spikes shall befeel a rigidity known in the necks like their mechanics' racks that feels nor floats a lodestone on the banks betwixt a bell end and an alarm clock. Do you think it's wrong to contradict yourself? Since you are no longer allowed to enjoy a glass of water, the cowardly wolf mumbles a roar as that goddamn kid is taking a seat on the train again, off the rails with this wretched decade. Then the remorse, the introspective post mortem, the fashion, the architecture, the music, the media, the technology, indecisive broad gestures, sweeping changes of subject, conflating placating terminology with warm sentiment. The cowardly wolf appears to ignore the news feed, deeply flawed, archaic, downright prehistoric, dances over the line of self parody so often, you start to lose the ability to tell the difference. An obvious, forced version of what he used to do so effortlessly. I really miss Amanda or Amy. The rabbit and cowardly wolf get x rays together, paw in paw at the clinic. Nothing's broken. They just like the way their jewelry looks against their bones in the photographs. At the ballet, the view from the private box is undisturbed, and the rabbit relaxes and holds a bucket of carrots. The cowardly wolf watches him gnaw. They bought tickets using pseudonyms and are wearing new suits with contrasting fedoras and little pasted on beards. In between acts, the cowardly wolf yawns, "Must they always?" Which the rabbit doesn't hear. Lights go black. Parents. The rabbit bribed a policeman. The cowardly wolf crouched behind a bush filming it all. And while both are smart enough to accept that this is an inherently artificial medium, they can't stand exposition disguised as dialogue or arbitrary structural decisions or the limitations of the budget. And when some exec wants to cast his nephew who just needs a way to break in, Amanda or Amy, "I've always had such a high opinion of you. Save your dignity. Don't call the press. Preserve the essence of drama, the command, the show that intermittently ends and begins." Beautiful. This is a very old one. And for, I don't know, 20 years, I was pretty convinced I would never do it again. And yet now somehow it all makes sense. It all makes sense yet again. So here we are. It's 2021 and I'm doing this. By the way, this is a pair. This is what a pair looks like. Just so we're clear, this is a pair. And this is called We're Fucked. There's always a better scene. There's always an airlift gala, always a chance to be the superstar you always imagined. I get up and nothing gets me down. You gotta jump. Nothing treats me better than a ballet soiree. I'd rather drink electrical serum to make Atari worth your currency. I believe in the suburbs. I am a vicarious parasite. I am not John Sway. John Sway used to be the man of the 90s. Papes called him Buddha. PK called him Sir. I used to call him close personal friend. John Sway parted Times Square as if it was the Red Sea. He used to be the prodigy of technology. It takes a teenage bride to get me out of bed right now. No big hair. I do not have an imagination. I only have a vision. Madonna giving head to a water bottle in Truth or Dare. Madonna updating her stories on Instagram with her dressed up like, I don't know, Little Yachty or something. Little Lord Corduroy pissing his pants, and they say R2D2 was a lesbian. Can't you see me standing here? I got my back against the record machine. You know, back when I wrote this, records were obsolete, and now they're back again. Baby, can't you see what I mean? You might as well jump. Oh, well, whatever, never mind. I'm just a boy with a new haircut. That's a pretty nice haircut, thanks. Want to fuck me Deliverance style? And I know, baby, just how you feel. You gotta roll with the punches to fucking get to what's real. John Sway doesn't put up with any of that shit. John Sway made Pavlov's dog respond to the sound of lightsabers. I wanted to fuck Vicky from Small Wonder. She'd give birth to a gigapet. John Sway made the world safe for seam-stitched pants, but he wasn't just looks. He was the man of the 90s. Mobb Deep called their record Hell on Earth for a reason. Think about it. Line dancing is Nazi boot camp. I do not have an imagination. It's fun to lose and to pretend. Kristen. What's that spell? Why, it spells propaganda is explanatory fiction, of course. No big pants. I am not bitter. I am not angry. I cannot write iambic pentameter, shitty convoluted plot lines sitting on the shoreline. I can only write an end rhyme. But something I just have to say is that I learned the lesson that existentialism is a bore, and after further recollection, the truth is that some people's lives are worth more than others. Case in point, would you rather have James Earl Ray or Martin Luther King Jr.? Would you rather have that guy, MDC, or John Lennon? Would you rather have Valerie Solanas or Andy Warhol? I know where I make my choices. I hope you know where you can make yours. And all the while, John Sway wonders why people pay $20 to hear recreated copy of a copy of a copy of a copy SoundCloud shit made from 1992. Did I spill that on you? John Sway was the man of the 90s, but nonetheless, I digress. In the days of Miss Pac-Man, I used to spell my name and piss on this fat girl's front lawn. It better work out. I hope it works out my way. Was that you who said that, baby? How you feeling? I'd rather date an Asian girl because they don't waste time, but I think about John Sway. Hey, who doesn't? I do not have an imagination. Korea, 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 Korea. Kura Kura, Kura Kura. Minoni is in Tangier, stockpiling Tickle Me Elmo dolls. Space Invaders still blips in my mind. The 1984 Utopia. Hey, Ma, I got the high score. Bake me some cookies. Hesitate, you die. In 1984, Reagan won in a landslide. In 1984, nothing would overtake Atari or Van Halen. I do not have an imagination, but I do have a vision. John Sway was the man of the 90s. And this is, these things are all connected, you see. This is, of course, physical copies. Oh, damn it. He detached himself years ago. Spent every night this week with his face in his phone, or making excuses why he cannot come home. What is he looking at for so many hours? Where does he go? What is it that captivates him so? You respect his privacy, but you also have a right to know. Maybe he only wants the girlfriend experience instead of the reality. Perhaps he can only cope with false intimacy. Or maybe it just took this long to discover that his natural disposition could only be described as unpleasantly empty. Maybe in his mind, he's only got 8 months to live. Maybe he's just too afraid to be embarrassed. Or maybe he only cares about his ease of convenience. You figure that he can't even remember the memories that you treasure. You catch him glancing at you and wondering if he's recalling something he once heard Mr. Blackwell say. The more hardware, the less personality. What does he spend his money on? All you know is that he never has enough, and he doesn't buy the things he used to show interest in. He certainly hasn't gotten you a gift in months. He doesn't seem to respond to your new clothes, makeup, or perfume. And then there's the most disconcerting fact when you realize that even the implants won't bring him back. This is called Horse. Let's share the silence while everyone's absent. With the electricity out, it's unknown if the edges can be seen. Thin line. Take off your clothes and find out if you're purple. Supine. Time to get reserved by disengaged, dreary people. I'm optimistic enough to whisper in your ear. Vanish into the walls and watch you walk to the chair. Let's share the silence, test the power of my stare and the limits of your willingness Then pretend we're unaware when you stand in front of the mirror and all the stringent reasons why you're really here. I'm clear enough to stand near the back, not against your thigh to avoid glancing at your eyes. Let's share the silence, ease into your patience, measuring what each instant takes seconds after the temperature breaks, and staying anxiously awake, while the next 7 minutes are advanced into minute facets, slipping across conjoined elements. I'm open enough to adjust the embryo window, your tight spine, your consent, the tension kept sacrosanct. This is something I wrote when I was, what, 16? It's called Prostate of the Union. Well, it's been fourscore for you living in the sweet depression sanctuary of solitude. I laugh behind your back and call you honky with an attitude because you fool yourself cohabitating in reality, banality, too high in yourself to taste your own mortality. I'd love to slap you, but I'm just too sweet for brutality. My fairy fellow friend wallows in his Gen X apathy. He cuts his right hand just to see it bleed. He'll never realize life's more than his own room, you see, because he got soul down the river working from 8 till 3. Little lost soul coasting on puppy dog love, listening to wedding bells and chasing all the doves. Well, friend, open your eyes wide, because the girl screwing in the corner you picked for your bride, too warped with illusions to see that she lied, so go to a party and get your brain cells fried. So now I roll with the suburban poet god Moses, bought into it all and pricked himself on the roses, thought he was above the hype slang in the scene, woke up one day from his marijuana dream and spent the rest of his youth just trying to keep clean. What a waste, said the sheriff when he arrived at the scene. But her individuality came at a price. Dyed the hair purple and tossed the social dice. Her floodlight parties were a big old smash, but lack of skater pants brought on the backlash. Now she sits there just like wet ash, garbling the words, where the hell's my stash? Now take a look at homegirl sitting all on her own. Got no one to call, don't even got a home. Ripping off the talk and copping the look. Be sure to be cool and read all the right books. Dealing with the devils, trying to make some time, ain't got no thoughts, so she tries to leech mine. Sounds like a fool when she calls up and whines. And they'll all spend their lives standing in checkout lines. And they fucking well did. This is a pair. This is a pair. He's doing that there. Any requests? This is one from the new book. It's called Investigating Mitsy. She rides around the merry-go-round wearing satin slippers, chewing pink peppercorns. Her eyes are a miracle in the way they paint names in the minds of rain clouds. The lightning reaches out to introduce itself. The Queen of Atlantis draws filigree for the king while he's taking his bath, Bristling lips kiss the teeth of the key ring and lick ankles and mouth. She holds a bouquet of clarinets, wearing a lavender herringbone robe and nodding at buckets of soap. Her elbows hold her weight on the sand dune decorated with still wet seashells and teacups half filled with a treacle she pours onto tree roots. The Queen of Atlantis plans where the French and English will meet. The king eats suckling pig and excites the court over soaking his feet. This is from Citizenship. This is called Canary Milk. Sweltering sun in the forecast, but it's raining right now. Retired teens nostalgic for holograms as their granddads watch rocks roll on the ground and wonder when they can be farmers in glass pods on Mars. While Amanda eats factory fresh candies and laughs jaggedly at vulgar stories. The boy who awoke in the toy aisle one evening moved more elegantly than his mother had ever seen as he picked items off a worn, well folded list before deciding he'd rather have a pet eel instead. While Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams deleted scenes from their past. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heat wave, instead marveling about how much the new house on his route much cost each month. Oh, Jesus, let's start that verse over. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heat wave, instead marveling about the new house on his route and how much it must cost each month to keep the swans fed and the water in the lagoon fresh, while Amanda feels no urgency to call back her agency and laughs at people voluntarily photographing their chores. This is another very old one. It's called It's All Just a Toot and a Snore. Oh, this is a pear. This is a pear. Stem, there's a core, there's a peel, there's the fruit, the flesh inside. Sitting watching TV, another preacher choked by greed, and it's making my eyes bleed. It's not God that he sees, but it's money that he needs. So I ask, what is religion? Because it ain't about crucifixion or the Sermon on the Mount, because it's your pledge that counts. And I can't see why people fly to the system that's tried to buy, pry, and lie to your soul. Take control of your mind. Don't be blind. We are all divine, and you are not their kind. The litany of the Trinity holds some back, and their psyche cracks from the Bible on their backs. Don't be a slave to salvation. Make no hesitation to see what you've missed. Already made St. Pete's list because I pissed on a fundamentalist. This is called Two Franciscan Nuns. Chewing mint leaves while crossing the Calumet River, the paper mill's exhaust pipes interrupt the vista. Mules weighted with surge protectors, hairspray, and cassettes. A riverboat of morphine addicted ghosts over there on the left. Two Franciscan nuns wanted to build a hospital, but settled for organizing games of chance. In their hotel rooms, they squeeze out extra acidic orange juice and excommunicate people with unpleasant names from the phone book. Two Franciscan nuns helped decorate an admiral in the pensioner's home after he'd misplaced his uniform. They blessed his pills, kissed his parakeet, and as he slept, gathered sets of his false teeth to sell at the swap meet. A brain with blood and oxygen is better than a fish who talks. What some people see as skin discoloration is, in fact, the natural pigmentation when viewed from the inside. Some newspapermen have always known this, and indeed, they have nothing to hide. This is it's called Lazy Angels. It's a new book. Actually, mm. While I'm at it, this is a glass of water. Squat woman sealed in a shadow frock, trimmed in white, absence of light, selling stories from her garden that she demands are heard, but is greeted with the silence of the crowd's indifference. She doesn't already know that we can breathe and we can leave. She can't see that we already can walk through doors and open windows. Counterfeit prophet steals the locks. Illegal son, zero as one. Selling pictures of her dinner her guards are obliged to buy, even as her art collection is vanishing, until the walls have nothing left hanging. She doesn't already understand that we can perceive and that we can receive. She can't see that we can paint flowers with any colors that we can imagine, and we can fucking imagine each of them. All of them. Their far and distant minds are trails best left behind. Sister to her father stops the drain under a rotting stage, 6-month wage, selling reports carefully whispered in hopes her wealthy relatives will let her sign their wills first. She doesn't already know that we are her, twice as much or more, a complete verse. She can't see the red and gold bird flying right above. She can't see that we are her, twice as much or more. She can't see that she hands her keys to a steed who gallops away, away into the orange rolling hills. Orange rolling hills, orange rolling hills, orange rolling hills. What are you guys doing out there? Any requests? This is an older one, another older one. This is called Do You Believe in Love at First Sight? I woke up, startled, and trying to recall the dream I had just finished. I opened the blinds in my bedroom and peered up at the granite sky, and made makeshift memories of people I knew who didn't live past 18. Where should I go tonight? Do I feel like dealing with them? 4 a.m. makes its only pulse with promises of the Euphrates River and drag queens who will take the time to slow dance. In an instant, I visualized that dream as I lay underneath the bunk beds, even though I was an only child. Appendages slid from the wall and hung over me. Now it takes me 4 hours to go to sleep. Fly in the clouds, slightly above your childish tooth scar, hushed, scuffling hands, broken, and a knock to remind popsicle stains, corroded sugar dirt, and life fiber insects. To the stars, and crash it away, to search for the reinvention, to answer for the millennium. Man will stand for what he's done when mythology folds and the blocked visions rush past and reclaim their rightful place. Dark spirals fly over static phone lines. How can you be coherent when you don't even want to leave the house? I don't want to give you the impression that I'm desperate or searching for anything, or that I just want to be your best friend that can slip out the back door. She was a child bride, an angel wrapped in bed sheets and a nightingale trapped in the undertow. I could never feel safe around her because I was always feeling that she was getting ready to leave me. She was a child bride, the last runaround of my stupidity, the most graceful vision of beauty that I've ever seen. One of my friends wrote that everything is a symbol. I have to say that he's wrong. Everything is political. Mother, your love to me is obligated. Your love is like a syringe shooting obsessive attendant religion into me. I miss your cold hands and my bath water. You never watch me sleep anymore, and I wring my arms equally at the thought of obeying and defying you. Mother, it's arrogant to say that you know God's way and to risk my soul on it. I don't want to live with the guilt complex that the only son of man died for me because it makes God come off like a tedious stepdad that has to forever beg for respect from his inherited children. Saviors as martyrs is an inherently ridiculous concept. It is about the life that matters. It is about actions and inspiration of actions. Life brings life, and death brings death. Keep worshiping the dead, and what have you got left? Let the dead bury the dead. Life. Life. Mother, your cut glass campaigning repels me, and the subtle innuendos and allusions make me disbelieve every word you say. Everything is political, political glitter, like the tinsel and bells and sprayed snow hanging off the plastic Christmas trees in the dining room. Political glitter, like a jigsaw with a broken frame. Political glitter, like a peace treaty ratified on the chest of a hooker. Lunatic archangel writhing madly on the floor, a lunatic messenger dragging out a cigarette, feeling the blackened edges of a psychotic afterburn, a lunatic tramp stung on turpentine and suffering from rotting bone marrow, lunatic clones on a line of succession shrieking about their bloodshot hearts and decayed embryos. An elegy at the funeral service, where the urn was placed next to ripped out pages from Siddhartha. I opened my mouth to try to make an orchestra come out, but all I'm stuck with are words trapped on slivers of tape. But I don't believe that, and I don't want to believe that, because that means I've been wrong the whole time when I keep getting proved right, because it means that the universe has a finite number and that temptation can push us anywhere it wants. Do you believe in love at first sight? Do you believe in intuition and romantic video screens that play tape loops of your imagination? Do you believe that everything you ever wanted is alive inside your head, or that religion is just a hoax to keep you from touching your eyes? I believe in soul explosions that dart into every universe until some attention is finally paid to it. Sometimes talking to people is just like acting. The thunder makes crystal cracks and opens up the sky. The violence of it is so beautiful, and I lay on top of my bed, wondering why I can't feel safe, and hoping the lightning will whip the entire galaxy into one pulsing electric light. I haven't found you yet, but I don't doubt I will. No, I don't doubt I will. It's from a book I did in 1999, back in 1999, called Fear. It's called Set. Like crying while being burned by the sun, fingers stuck down the throat of the past, cracking your plaster features against the floor. Soul matches soul, grace matches honesty. Every man is beholden to his neighbor. I don't believe in eye for an eye or society's poorly written fiction. I think the flesh is a spirit to itself. Demonic blessing and the out of tune wailing, cursing because you can't hide the awkwardness. Death has nothing to do with becoming. Truth has nothing to do with prettiness. Cleansed in the scar of a dream. Mother Superior with stretch marks. The killer who believes they're helping the victim. Your spirit with stab wounds. Grounded between the impulses and actions is the confused motivation, the abstraction, the disavowal, the belief of sin in hindsight. The flesh is a spirit to itself. Rejection of your own heart, a forgotten rotting of intuition, degenerates down to a crude set of stupid demands, throwing away the power to be illuminated, consciously denying decay, exposed to nothing but dirty air, a germ inside a scab. This this is a pair. This is a pair. This is a pair. This is called Oranges. Blue and red stripes laying on her bed, throwing chicken to the fish waiting to be fed. Flying fortress in the cold yellow light, electronic geysers marking the millimeters at night. The redwoods grew out of the lakes, then the horses and cougars came from the apes, and after speaking, formed their shapes. They wrote an alert, they planted themselves in the desert. The sky is one meal a day floating through hoarfrost. The orator utters proclamations under acid precipitation. Bodies and mind, yours and mine, and our energy is our vocation. The truth, the purified milk, came from the amalgamation. How to eat, to live, and sleep underneath, to see the silent actions and keep what we dream. Right now, a machine exists to read your thoughts, and I'm called a fool. A fool is one who follows a stranger's rules, stealing coal and jewels, feeding their fixation, and altering their gestation. One man is not a nation. One woman is not a nation. My knife slipped through the ghosts of Enoch Powell and Mary Whitehouse and Ronald Reagan and into Abaddon's icy abdomen. This morning I went to work. There was a mouse on the road, running between cars, sliding over the snow. He got told by the acquaintance he doesn't know the real world. He told them, I don't think you know about the world outside your world, because we've come here to annoy you. We've come here to destroy you. No flies on her, no skies on me, or our ulterior alchemy. Spirit doesn't have flesh and bones. You can see I do. A wave isn't solid, but it can slice through and bury you. The floor in his basement began to crumble. Let me say, I won't eat meat if it causes my brother to stumble. My brother, why do you live at a state of degradation, pressing away atoms of inspiration, continuing this dissipation? You said you formed all light and darkness, evil and peace, but you made yourself deformed and obese, a member of the secretive police. Screeching seagulls drop their feathers on the sphere, two sets of twins announcing that they are leaving here and faring out to live inside the windmills. The fog is too thick to see the pinnacles. Blue, red, and gray stripes laying on her bed, silver ovens making new bread, flying fortress in the breaking midnight, electronic geysers signaling for continual flight. His voice was the sound of waves crashing, a rushing crush of reeds and snow, from the soil to the sea's undertow, stentorian certainty slicing across boundless thrashing, clips of ships eaten in the liquid gnashing, surging and atomizing in the land below, then breathing and sinking under the water's flow. With skin like apple pulp and wood grain, he stood next to a plane ascending, gasping through the tumult with a face of rain, each thought an unending refrain, each breath given infinite extending, each pause a fracture in his campaign. Magic. It's called Cheltenham Girl. Like a cloud, beautiful sound, standing before the signal. When the light shines on the ground, it reflects off the wheel. Parking lot next to the short building on the edge of the desert. She sees it's harder to be a number when you're starting out as a visitor. Cheltenham Girl. Clouds can't create the shapes they make or hold onto any rain. Precious, temporary, holding no domain. No machines, no cell phone or computers, clicking through broken links. Credit card, social security needed. She will refuse to register. She really will. Cheltenham Girl. Every day, another wish, another mile, closer to the point where I can portray it. Until then, all I'll do is sing to her spirit. She will return. She will return. This is a pair. It's called A Moderate Man. I went walking through the morning to enjoy the autumn air, and I came upon a clearing. Some folk from in town greeted me graciously, as they stood waiting. Frank then strode into the center of the circle with 3 men by his side. Frank abruptly unfolded his note and started speaking. 3 men reshaped in a line behind Frank as his inimitable voice intoned, "Men in masks shall not live on your land, for they are cowards whose spirits are trapped. Thou art born without caste. Your soul is unshared, and judgment shall not be passed or carried out by committee on your quiet acts." Frank, flanked by the 3 men, then swiftly left while the crowd collectively shuddered, and there were mutterings of, "What Frank giveth doth not equal what he takes. Heart of foul, eyes of a snake, words of an apostate." I followed the trail back to my home whilst conversing with Pastor Corbett. Upon reaching my front gate, he looked me square in the eye and said, "Just because I am prone to help my neighbor in good faith, family or friend, that doth not make." This is it's called Parallel Place. Actually, no, we're not going to do that with this yet. We are going to do Windy Sequins. Through the missing bricks, you can see a banquet table with a candelabra crooked from water-falling wax. On the other side of the missing bricks is a tablecloth with faintly gray claw stains left by mourning doves. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table, heaving with indentations from apples, persimmons, cantaloupes, and pears. On the other side of the missing bricks, there is a deer walking in the distance while a finger painting floats to the ground. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table with unopened telegrams and sturdy silver trays stacked with books about the Enlightenment. On the other side of the missing bricks, there is a pebble garden placed on a tree branch next to a mortar and pestle. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table lined along the bottom right edge with bowls of cold dandelion soup. Seated 45 degrees away from the banquet table is a man with a salt and pepper wax mustache humming waltzes and complaining about the distortions of sounds and colors. 110 years old, and he doesn't know that electric blue can be beautiful too. This is called Submerging. My thoughts stop. My muscles go slack. I sink into the gray water. I rise, pick up shells, and see something inside. I see a spotlight bathed in cream, a turtle swimming slowly, and bioluminescent plankton out past the reef. I am not the follower. I have nothing to prepare for. I am not the leader. I've got no form. At this moment, I'm no one's son except for my father's father's father. My head stays underneath. No new oxygen, but for the time being, I've got all I need. I'm not the follower. I've got nothing to wait for. I'm not the leader. I'm just being born. At this moment, I'm no one's son, except for my mother, the clouds, the sun, the land, the water. All is one. All is one. I have come. All is one. Open reach. All is one. To infinity. All is one. Circle soul. All is one. Bird's beak. All is one. Silver seed. All is one. We have come. This is called Fingerhouse. Where should I go? Empty and without suggestion, Dry bathtub, antiseptic self, turquoise pottery carefully washed, not included in collection debates, and can catalog itself. A black and white television crackling on the last analog signal, transmitting drip brush pixelation to friends who have never met before dawn with unbent antennas and tinfoil knobs. No larger connection and no network without notice or critical thought. Pure broadcast. Where should I go? To a cricket's lake where Mona Lisa and George Washington's faces urgently run by on filmy soap transfers until they burst into digital diagonal scribbles that shock sleeping bluebirds and hunting robins, where austere diagrams of skeletons are traced into colored chalk onto trees and oil sticks litter the walkways, where oysters recover jewelry fallen overboard and forgotten, where flashlights find glimpses into windows and fluoride is poured into jugs of cola. Where should I go? With a shopping bag full of batteries, returning a stolen bike to its parent company, walking in between unclean delivery trucks in need of repair, while raw-toned steel whistle air floats on wisps of strawberry hair, and accelerated voices and nonsensical 10-second annoyances, a magician perfecting an illusion which ends with them curling up and sliding down a tree, then pretending to be asleep, while assessing what the crowd seems to think. Then a throne is carried on, seating a man in a parchment crown and wrapped in beach towels. Where should I go? Into a kitchen with aluminum knives and nurses in white lab coats and blue rubber gloves, rolls of tissue paper and unfolded t-shirts, and personalized engraved nameplates. Where should I go? Knees to the chest, laying on the ground, scissors, heels pressed together, toes toward the sun, back to the cool ground. This is called Parallel Place. I live in a parallel place where the land is level, where the streets are bright in the evenings, and I know what tomorrow brings. I live in a parallel place where the wind is cold, where gray haired men sweep the bandshell and foxes sleep under church bells. I hear the lank haired women walking in the morning, their faces shaped by the sun. I live in a parallel place where there's endless electricity with very low voltage, where everyone dies of old age. I live in a parallel place where rain runs into a tunnel, where able bodied women clear the gutters and dragonflies rise in a slow motion flutter. I see the able bodied men hauling fallen branches, their faces shaded by the sun. I live in a parallel place where people speak in peace, where the foreman's spouse greets the mailman in a see-through blouse. I live in a parallel place where the forest faces east, where contracts are written in invisible ink and codes are created with a wink. I see all the people breathing through the day, their faces graced by the sun. Blissful cardinals, blissful infants, blue reflections magnified 10,000 times, blue beams bouncing off aged lenses, radiant artifacts, radiant heirlooms, white sails blistered by the salty sun, white china stacked up in cupboards, shining domes, shining necklaces, green feelings balanced on a yardstick, green parchment weighted down by grapes. All right, we're going to going to do the brother and sister poems. So the first one is Jade, which came out in Radar Grain, and 7 years later I put out the sister, um, which is the Tide, which was in Communism is Grand. So also, this is a pair. It's called Jade. Winter went without finale. One brain with seagull emeralds and a chop of jade thicker than my wrist. Glancing became the transmission, like a doorbell whistling in a veterans parade. So behind the minute hand extends more than obligation and demands more than devotion. Passion is 10,000 tiny cuts so untraceable they dye emotions without ever gracing the surface. Lightning travels celebrations and standing full face toward the stark light and thin wire sword play. Who's been saying in this bed? No one without articulation, tempo, and psychic extrapolative hysterics. At the break I am pacing, ignorant to stillness, shattering shins, pushing flagpoles out of the fields, locking engines to mortar, and blushing with inevitable glory leave. This is the Tide. Swimming through the rising tide. Eyes, 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 eyes. Magic. Diane, Momo, Geo, Nyan, Jungyeon, Sana, Sui, Cheon. It always happens. It doesn't matter how many times. And Mina, ballerina Mina, sweetly shining Mina. Yes, Eve on the limestone magical entrance. Magic! The winds stormed around the asthma liquids and flying cost of yen. The fur was melting in an envelope, lime green irises bobbing in the water, trying to pry through the quarantine line. Topics of conversation overheard. Rusting Park, yellow shoots and chipped lacquer, birds landing on Mount Fuji. A dulcimer was plucked, floodneck papers rising and collected. Outside, crisp rings of flickering, crossing change. Numbers assigned in a fetal hotel, slow motion time to diagonal lights and backward directionals. Ceremonial silver displayed, cold crux of current torn by rain, and smog filling ditches, spear thrown into the branch, limestone posts built on the marsh. Letters sent with smeared ink, walking through masks for photographs. The motorcade wasn't noticed. Flipped cigarette, punctured wrist. The tide stretched over itself. Photographing while you're walking through Incheon Airport, coming back from Jeju Island, after having rented out the entire Lade duty-free Marriott Hotel. Magic. Excuse me 1 second. It's disgusting. I really try hard not to do that on the air, but you know. Getting there, I promise. This is well, this is a pear. To be clear, there's a stem, as you can see. There's a stem. There is skin. There's the flesh inside. There is a core. That is a pear. Um, I'm about to read. They never felt sorrow. They never felt sorrow was I wrote when I was 17, and I wrote it at Columbia College in the student lounge, and there was a homeless guy because Columbia was right near you know homeless center. And the next year, the Democratic convention was coming through, so Daley's police had it was trying to clear out the South Loop and get rid of all the homeless people, and they had actually killed a guy. He was sleeping on an air grate in front of the Marriott, and the cop got off, by the way, and beat the guy to death. And so there was a lot of it was an intense time, and some of the homeless people who were down there were very aggressive because they were getting treated very badly. And there was one guy in particular who I guess he had a broken arm, but his arm was bandaged like like out to here. It was, and part of the bandage was like flapping in the wind. And he was bashing his arm against the window. And I wrote this as I was watching him bash his arm against the window and screaming at people. But he wasn't actually hitting his arm. He was just hitting like this thick bandage against, And I had tried to give this guy money weeks before. I think I'd given him money once or twice, but then he identified me as somebody who would give him money. And I didn't always have money on me. Or sometimes, I didn't have time to cross the street or something like that. And so he, in particular, did not like me because he had identified me now as I'd gone from friend to enemy in his eyes. So I wrote this as I just watched him. He didn't see me looking at him. It wasn't anything like that. But this is written as I watched that. So it's called They Never Felt Sorrow. Mind recover recourse cavern, cowlick garlic wrapped in rape. Duck blood punching wino porno spinning span spew. Lacerating, stomach bleeding, howling dirge summer camp. Bitch boy, never ending, never mind, I'm just your soul. Ass preaching psycho dancers, wildly flashing life dance. Owl slop teasing, jeering, genocide, clown of fools. Crucifixion, demigod, good morning, phallic moon, looking, lurking, thoughts stealing, marquee peace lame. Understanding, underhanding, fetal genes, spleen spill, lip smart, claustrophobic exaltation, spreading love, semi-happy, sleep, feather finger, grinding sand, carpetbagger, through the heart, silver bullet for all to see, street scene, blue jean, bow tie, syrup cracker, kicking speed, flare monkey, overwhelming, coffee lush, dead unharmed, roast teeth, parking lane, culture store, house shock, sleepy diction, slicking rabbi, madly turned, tired heart, syncopation, simulation, belt sanding, reaping now, obese, iron stroll, lost forever, pointing blank, flashing flasher, abstractly, red writ, tax void, corrosion, slicing, tired brain cell, paranoid, lumpen self. All right, this is Would You Sell the Relics? The general that only cares about tomorrow also expects everyone to echo the same expression, and when the general can no longer see the power of their influence, they try and exert control over any small circumstances underneath their command. I'm going to interrupt myself. When you're talking to, when an HR manager is screening you for a job and they explain the work culture as a family, fucking run, especially if there's a founder and he still works there, because that means he's dad. That means he's your dad. And I already had a dad, thank you very much. The general that only cares about tomorrow also expects everyone to echo the same expression. And when the general can no longer see the power of their influence, they try and exert control over any small circumstances under their command, right, Ella? While the brigadier general worries to one if they need a transfusion. The colonel, who's concerned that not enough people's fingerprints matches theirs, requires a warning on the front page of each report along with a summary cut together by a subordinate in a matter of minutes so they don't have to waste any energy generating any contradictory thoughts, while the captain enters their coordinates so their location is known and updated every moment, which leaves the captain free to make discoveries like the wheel or gravity, then sell their findings to the executives or campaign staff of their choice, urged by a strong sense of benevolence, a tribute to charity as a force. And the first lieutenant's unmatched love of history is proven by the pictures taken of their parents with Goebbels in Brazil in the 70s. As the second lieutenant's jealousy shows and grouses to one, that's not Goebbels, it's clear it's Martin Bormann. The sergeant major that reset the standards of esprit de corps doesn't know the panic they'll feel a few short years later when they are urged out of the way, or that they'll become stiff with resentment and resolute in their calls for punishment and institute measures to monitor how the company behaves, while the staff sergeant writes on a photo of themselves, "The future points to you," and daydreams about collecting the remaining virginities from the sorority house down the road, and they already have the names, ages, and weights in a frequently updated database. Then the staff sergeant complains about commercials before content. The chief warrant officer, who breaks ranks to research the order the alphabet was created in, gets rueful about seeing themselves age and attending charity events, funerals, and hospital visits, seeing their face in the mirror more washed out than before, wondering as they write their commencement address who will even be paying attention in the audience, drinking from puddles, seeing what the sky says, not being able to read handwriting. It's children. They each received a small puzzle, and to the pride that it's all an eye roll and all so boring and shallow to see another round of legacy shut out by an offhand remark. The private doesn't ask any of the officers where they should start. What's the matter where rebellion is kitsch and trauma is Walmart? The specialist greets the private. They each think the other is a dilettante. And later, the specialist considers, what's the matter where you have 1,000 followers and not a dozen supporters? Would you sell the relics? All right, this is going to be the last poem of the night. One more time. This is a pear. The pear has a peel, there's a stem, there's a core. It's called Dance the Night Away. A blue wave sprayed gently onto the window. It remained an unfaded crescent reaching over the rooftop. Birds flew through untethered. Droplets yawned in sonorous applause. The shape succumbed, giving way by matching passing movements. As when water splashes in the sky, a maypole stands unraveled while a sunfish kisses a butterfly. The fences were then a canvas, soaked tissue paper sprung over electrical wires, fragile fork tails freshly shaven, as bronze tiger beetles glanced up at the heavens. Dance the night away! Magic. Kura Kura. Kura Kura. Kura Kura. Kura Kura. Kura Kura. Magic. Kura Kura. Kura Kura. Kura Kura. Magic. All right. That's pretty silly. Hope you enjoyed that. All right. Let us hear the quarantine stream theme one more time. Lovely. All right, everybody. By the grace of God, we will be back next week. I'm actually fairly confident we will be back next week. Tuesday, we'll be back regular time on Tuesday, which is really the best day to do this. But there was no way I was going to do it after having gotten the second vaccination shot. So hopefully you're getting yours. Stay safe. And until next week, then stay safe, stay smart. And here's the really fucking important part: stay free, because you already are. Got that? Yeah. So, all right, everyone. Like I said, by the grace of God, we will be back next week. Regular time on Tuesday. It'll be wonderful. And hope you guys are enjoying Wow Beautiful and stickers. They love giving it to you. So they love, how did John Lennon say it? Doing their thing all over you. I'll have to use that. I'll get on the phone and tell the good folks over at Kazari Ego Graphics to beautiful. All right, everybody. Goodbye. God bless. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoy this sort of thing. We love doing it to you, all over you. Goodbye.